5 minutes.
Your awareness may be powerful enough to control your instincts. Your instinct will be to remove your hand from the box.
It's your girl Meesh, and welcome to another episode of the Luv MEESH Podcast. Hey loves, and welcome to another episode of Luv MEESH Podcast. This is part 2 of this is going to be my number 1 favorite podcast from the whole catalog. Like, I really love this whole divine feminine that I stumbled across. Okay, so I'm going to pick up where we left off. He also mentioned that the different phases of the moon intensifies the vibration or frequency of both the egg and the sperm. So I thought that was interesting, because we already know, like, some people, when there's a full moon or a lunar moon, people start acting like a lunatic. So we know we're 95% water. The moon has effect on water, which means it has effect on us too, which to me is why they should focus on frequency more. We should talk about sound bowls and frequency music, and it was a new one that I just found out about. What are they called? They're called now I gotta find it because it's gonna aggravate me. They are called, let me go to Amazon. Frequency tool. I forgot the name of it. I'm gonna put in singing bowl and see if it comes up, because I know singing bowl. Singing bowl. And then when we go get our nails done at the spas and stuff, we get a massage, they have that music in the background because it works. We're not just physical beings. They taught us everything about physical, but when it comes to spiritual, which is the most important aspect, we lost in the sauce. No, it should have been spiritual and then physical, which I'm going to do a chakra book about that as well, because I just learned that personally. I forgot what they're called. Let me see if I can go to Google. Tuning fork. God, that took forever. I couldn't even find a picture. It just came to me. Thank you, universe. My memory is getting better too. Y'all know my memory is horrible. And not my long-term memory, my short-term memory. Like, I don't even think it's called short-term. Just like streets and stuff, forget it. But I know I saw that before. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Tuning fork. Okay, and those have different frequencies too, for your chakras, for different illnesses, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, vibration. He also mentioned how the silk moth reproduces, it never mates. The scurvus beetle, he mentioned that as well. Now he said when it mates, it dies. But when I was looking it up, and this could be lies, they lie about everything else. It was saying that the man and female beetle do mate, and then the lady puts her eggs in the dung ball and bury it, and then it eats the poop so they can grow and stuff, and then it crawls out. But I don't think they would reverence an animal unless it had to have some type of magical spiritual meaning. So I do feel like the beetle woman would produce by herself, which she could produce male and female, and I feel like that's why it was reverenced, because I feel like they're telling us the wrong story with the pharaohs too. I think the women pharaoh ruled. I think they had kids on their own, and of course, if I have a boy, he's gonna reign. But if he has a girl, she's probably gonna have my genes, and she's gonna be able to have her own kids too. So I feel like that whole pharaoh story was wrong. Just in my hearts of hearts. And I feel like that's why they reverence the beetle. And I feel like they was trying to tell us, but they done lied and covered it up so much that you look at the beetle like, okay, so they could turn crap into nourishment for their babies. Like that could be one way to look at it. You can turn crap into something, but let's be honest, it had to have a higher. These are the civilizations that made the pyramids. Of course, they're not going to give you a simple answer for the beetle. It has to be a prolific meaning behind it. So that's just kind of how I think. He said Dr. Edward B. Shaw in 1854 started the epigenetics theory, which is a lie that sperm is needed with egg in order to produce. But he came back to say, well, look at Christ. All of the gods were born through a virgin mother. So it's like a truth in every lie. Even though they lie, the truth is still there. It's just that's not what we're focusing on. Like Mary literally, and this had me crying the other day. Like my sister was like, hey, how you doing? I was telling her, like, oh my God, it just hit me. Like Mary definitely had Jesus as a virgin. She did. I don't feel like the angel slept with her. She was one of the women from the God that was able to produce by herself. Joseph was brave enough to stay by her side because everybody else looking at him like, y'all ain't even marrying, y'all around here having sex, and if you think it's bad now, it had to be worse back then. And he stuck with her, and that's why Jesus was so. Now look at this. She had Jesus, right? And Jesus able to turn wine into water, wake the dead, and do all this stuff. But nobody ever said what Mary could do. I feel like Mary had a story where she was doing all the miracles and stuff. Then she had Jesus, and Jesus got the spotlight. Why? Because he's a man. You get what I'm saying? I feel like it's something fishy there that they're not telling us. But I just know with my hearts of hearts. Because if he's able to do all of that, you came from mother. Hello, mother gave you those capabilities, so that means mother can do it too, if not more. So yeah, at first I was like, the whole Jesus thing is, I do feel like they put a lot of lies within the Jesus. Like, I don't know why you want somebody to eat your flesh and your blood. Maybe they made that more literal than it needed to be. Maybe he was simply saying, y'all need to eat how I eat, which could have been alkaline, healthy. Y'all need to drink what I drink, which is water. You know what I mean? Maybe he was saying it like that. Eat what I eat, drink what I drink. And they probably just took it and ran with it. Ain't no telling, but I just learned now that when you hear stuff, if it resonates with you, it resonates. If it don't, it don't. And a lot of stuff just don't. And I'd be like, okay, so well, this resonates with me. I feel like he's saying, if y'all want to be healthy, eat like me. If y'all want, drink like me. Just like the whole fishers of men. I feel like he wasn't fishing for men. He taught the men how to fish so they could feed their family. Why y'all around here hungry? I would keep saying that. Why y'all around here starving? Like, did not God put animals here? If that's the route you want to go, did not God put trees and fruits and berries here? Did not God put fishing? Like, why are you crying, God, feed me? No. Feed yourself. I feel like that's what he was saying. Feed yourself. So yeah, I could write a whole Bible over. It'll be Meesh, the Meesh version. But he's basically saying that they tell us, oh, Jesus was born of a virgin, da 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 da. They threw the angel in there to throw you off. But he's basically saying that's not all entirely true. We've forgotten that there's more than one way to reproduce. One is with a sperm and an egg together, and then one is without. And nobody talks about that. And then in 1954, 4 British doctors of medicine studied 10 classical cases of birth without sperm and egg. The most famous was Emma Marie Jones. He said she was locked in the castle for 17 months and came out pregnant. And I have different articles and stuff that I'm going to go over at the end. But I want to do all of his speech first and then go on to other avenues. He said the sun and moon produce hormonal energies that start cell division with vibrations and radiations. So it's not just the moon, it's the sun too. So getting back to the sperm, he was saying the vibration of the sperm, just think about it. Millions and billions die before even reaching the egg. If the energy vibration doesn't excite the egg, the one, he's going to die. The male sperm die faster. The women's sperm can live up to 3 days. But then he says the one that excites her vibrationally, it's over for the rest of them. So it's a vibration thing, which I'm excited. I'm going to add that into my book too. It's like, how are you guys connecting? And everybody's vibration is different. So once you find that vibration, that's when it's going to happen. And that's for everybody. Let's see. He also said, why now can't women become pregnant without men? He said because of the problems and challenges that we have now. He estimated that Earth is over 30 billion years old. Can y'all imagine? If we have to reincarnate, just imagine if you remember all 30 billion of your lifetimes. That would probably be too much. We would go insane. It's probably best if we forget all of that. Because you could probably remember being a cloud, or you probably remember being in God. And then what will come next? Maybe a star or a galaxy. And then what? You're a planet. Then you become what? Cloud, air, germ. We probably existed in all of the ways that you can exist. And this is the one time that we are existing as a human. And there's going to be more after this. Because there's so many existences that we have to experience to learn. Because experience is the only way that you'll learn. You can read as many books as you want. But experience is what's going to give you that real deal. So I remember I went to college, but two of my homegirls have been at their jobs for like 10, 15 years, and they're in management leadership positions, and I'm like, your resume speaks for itself. Like, you're dedicated to the company, you've been here forever. There's not much they can tell you. You probably can do their job better than they can. So I think education is amazing, but that experience. So now that you got education, you got to get on people's job and learn it. But them people that's already been there, they know it. So you could basically help them, and then they can help you. It goes both ways. They smoking weed. But he definitely said woman was created first, and I agree. You don't have to agree with anybody says, but it agrees with my spirit and my soul. We were first etheric, not physical bodies. People dwelled in the ethers, which is what I was saying, 4 dimension or whatever dimension it is. It was no physical body, no physical sex was needed. It was just mind and matter. So you said in your mind, baby, and there's a baby. You didn't have arms, legs, or anything, so it was all just thought, pure magic. And then Earth took on a density form, which means somehow either woman fell, Earth fell, something happened to where it went from a higher dimension to a lower. To me, this is my interpretation. And with the elements came dual sex, and mating began, and they started mating with the animals, and that's how you come up with unicorns and mermaids, because it's like, and some of the gods, like Pan is what, a goat and a man. So that's how some of these creatures were like half species, half man, because at that point they never made it before like that. They, I guess it was no rules. They didn't really know, and they just made it with whatever they wanted to mate with. And then so on the low density, we're more animalistic, and all animals work with the 27 and a half cycle of the moon. But women have to remember, I guess the whole point of the divine feminine is, yes, we fell to our more animal characteristics, but we have to remember the God-like body, the Godhead, connect back to source. As the patriarch of the family, if a woman falls, the whole thing falls. Like, when there's a husband and a wife and kids, and the wife dies, do you see how that family, how the man he could not run that ship the way Mama Bear did. And I kind of feel like that's how countries are, that's how the world are, that's how kingdoms are. Like, when you put Mama Bear, let Queen Elizabeth, as much as I feel like she's a reptilian, alien, whatever, like, why everybody else dying with damn COVID and she's still here? Like, make it make sense. And she's just like very old. She even blink. I don't know. It's like Burns on the, like Mr. Burns on The Simpsons. Like, you just gonna live forever, huh? If she goes though, and a man gets the place. Oh my God, I don't think we're ready for that. Because it's already bad with her. So just imagine. He said low vibe beings follow the moon, but high vibe beings follow the planetary cycle. The planetary cycle. So when we're done being humans and following the moon cycle, we will then become a new species or whatever, and we'll have a planetary cycle. So that's gonna be interesting. But getting back to the problems and challenges that he mentioned, we should have a high vibrational diet, period. That means alkaline diet with enzymes, which are life forces, fresh juices, plenty of chlorophyll, plant chlorophyll from the sea, because when it comes from the land, it's not as nutrient as the sea, which is why sea moss is so highly praised. But be careful, because I'm pretty sure they're being tricky with the sea moss. Sea moss is a live entity. It should not be closed or sealed. It should have a little breathable screen on the top so they could breathe. I'm going to start out with powder, and then I'm going to get real seaweed and make it on my own. But for starters, I just want to get the powder. Like, somebody already let it sit in the sun. Somebody already dried it. Somebody already chopped it up for me, and I can just put it in my smoothie. But I just want to work from the powder up to the pure seaweeds and see how it affects me. Sea moss, as I mentioned, oxygen, deep breathing, exercising, because we are light energy. Just like the plants absorb the light, we need to absorb the light too. And most of us aren't even outside all the time, so we can definitely get it from those plants. We can turn those plants into energy. And he basically mentioned that these high vibrational diets will reduce your cycle, especially with no meat. And I'm down to 3 days, so it has changed. So I'm excited to see what the herbs and sea moss will do if it'll just go away completely. But as I mentioned before, athletes, he mentioned some athletes only have a 30-hour menstrual. Again, he mentions don't go to the doctor to see what's wrong. It's like the blind leading the blind. That table causes more trauma than women will ever speak of. The devices tear up the womb and some will never recover. But of course, it does start the bleeding. He said, get back to nature, which is our herbs and our magnets. I'm really interested to get... I had a magnet necklace that broke into 3 freaking pieces. It just fell. I'm like, all this time I've been putting this necklace on and off, it finally fell. So I'm going to order it again. Because my heart was like beating. I'm like, why is my heart beating like that? And I put the magnet on, it felt a lot better. So I do believe in magnets, just from my own, again, experience. It's the best teacher. You can hear something all day long, but when you have a personal testimony, like, nobody can tell you it don't work, because you know that it works because it worked for you. So herbs and magnets. When the original female fell, she mated as animals do. So from the God point of view, maybe 4D, whatever you want to call it, from the God point of view, because if God can make male and female, then there's no need for a goddess, because God is male and female. And there's a lot of God deities, if you look them up. It'll be a woman part, it'll be a man part, and they'll be lovers, this, that, the other. No, I think that's just representing the two halves. One God, two halves. Interesting. He mentioned all original zygotes are females that later change. If it's going to be a woman to a man within 6 to 8 weeks. That with testosterone, the males are made. So as I was researching for my baby book, on YouTube, you can look up baby swaying, and they figured out how to have a girl and how to have a boy. So they know that testosterone, but this is the trip part. Sometimes just enough testosterone is produced for the testes, but not enough for the neurons, everything else that goes on. And so a homo is produced. So when people say I was born this way, they probably do feel like that. They had just enough hormones for them nuts to drop. But let's not forget, you were still born a female. You're female first, and then you get your testosterone and your balls and your male attributes. So if he didn't get all the testosterone, he just gonna have enough for the balls, and then the rest is gonna be feminine. So I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I never said there was anything wrong with people being gay. In the native culture, they call them rainbow souls. They have a male and female spirit in them. As I mentioned, it doesn't matter what somebody do in their own bedroom, just leave the kids alone. But it be the hidden agendas for me. You see, it be that truth and the lie and the lie and the truth for me. So you want us to give them rights and let them get married, but what you really, really wanted to do was make these clones and produce babies and stuff. But you gonna give us the picture that Sam and Henry want a child. It's just like, call a spade and let's vote on it. Don't have to be tricky. I mean, they've done it already. I saw that too. I want to say Nevada, because they have the bunny ranch. So I guess some things are off limits in Nevada, which is probably why that Area 51 is there, now that I think about it, because there's no rules. Like the Wild Wild West. But anyways, what was I saying? Rainbow spirits. Oh yeah, the lady, she had successfully made a clone out of embryo, like egg and sperm clone, and you can go look it up on YouTube. And she was very excited about it, but she knew that people had their reservations about it because they didn't think it was ethical. And they always say, you know, people may not think it's ethical. If you have to say people may not think it's ethical, you know it's not ethical. Like, come on. Who are you trying to convince? Me or you? That's where I was going with that. Okay. He also mentioned that birthmarks were mental. So whatever she was thinking about mentally, it attached a birthmark to that baby. Which means, I remember when Kylie had her baby, she was gone. I mean, she was still taking pictures and stuff, but we didn't see her belly or whatever. And no one even knew that it was a baby. She really kept that hush-hush. And she just was to herself, you know, da-da-da-da. I don't know if hers was more spiritual, but when I do have my child, I'm going to make sure I always have my frequency music going. I just have positive energy and positive vibes around me. I'm going to let the baby listen to Mozart and say my affirmations and stuff. I just want to make sure that there's really, really, really good energy. Because I don't just want to have a child. I think there's more to it. I think when you are conscious, you can meet a conscious person, and together y'all can have a conscious child. I want to bring a conscious child into the world, and I want that child to do wonders for the world. And we know conscious people like that exist. There's so many amazing people that have just done. Look at Mother Teresa. It's like some people just do regular things, and then some people just do amazing things. And I honestly feel like it's because of the energy that they have when they're created and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's weird because I've been reading a lot of these books. But the frequency that you have, it doesn't just affect you. Because we're all connected, whether anybody wants to say it or not, it affects everybody, like a neuron. So you're basically a light and you're emitting light. Just think about it. You're emitting light all day. If it's good thoughts, you're emitting good energy, good vibes, good thoughts. If it's bad, in reverse. So if you're high vibrating, the higher you are, like the chart went from like 20 to 1,000. And at 1,000, it was like, it gave an example of like Jesus. And just by him being here, his frequency like raised the whole planet. Which was why it was so important to kill him, because it lowered the frequency, which allows other entities to, you know, dominate and da-da-da-da. And it's not just a physical world. I think Earth is like a battleground between the two. I think under Earth is more physical than what we have now, and above Earth is more spiritual. And I think Earth is just the in-between. It's the in-between of both worlds. But I feel like Earth is trying to go higher, or she is. She's going from 3, she's skipping 4 and going to 5. And she's been, this is from Dr. Blair. She's been given permission to do that just because of all that she's gone through. So that's a high honor, because it usually goes in order 3, 4, 5, not 3, 5. But just because she's going to 5 doesn't mean that everybody's going to 5 with her. That goes for the trees, the animals, the germs, shit, us, everything. You either on point or you off point. And just like your body, when you are sick, it gets hot. That heat is killing those germs. It's heating up to kill those germs in your body, which is why they want you to sweat. I remember my mom used to put, get a hot bowl of water, put essential oils in there, put Vicks on our chest, put a towel over our head, and just let that mucus come out. You know, like sweat it out. People go to the sauna, sweating it out. That's getting those germs out. So I feel like the sun is going to be heating up, constantly heating up. And I don't think people are going to be able to take it. And those are the germs that need to go. Like, how are you a created being on earth and the sun is harming you? Explain that. It don't harm the plants. It don't harm the animals unless it's harming you. Maybe you don't belong here. You know, something ain't right. It gives life. It's a living light energy. It gives life to everything else, but it's giving death to you. That means you are on the wrong dimension. You done hopped on to our dimension, and you need to go back down to your dimension. Is how I feel. Like, it's so much they don't tell us. But let's see. So I have a birthmark on my left hand. My siblings do too. So I'm gonna have to ask my mom, like, what were you thinking, or what happened to where we all have that birthmark, because it's a mental thing. He mentions that cysts are the first stage of budding outside the womb. And I do remember very young, like one of my first couple of visits to the gynecologist, he was like, oh, there's a cyst, but we're not gonna bother it. We're not gonna bother it. And I was like, Mom, I do remember telling her, like, Mom, I don't want it. Tell him to get it out. And she was like, oh, you don't bother them until they erupt or something. And that's been with me for what, 34 years. So what I just did was I ordered my records for Memorial, all of them that they can give me from birth until now. And when I do go see a specialist, I want them to have the whole picture of everything. And then plus, when I had my ectopic surgery, they took a picture of the baby, and I want to see it. Like, my sister told me, like a seahorse, but I want to be able to see it for myself. And I think I do remember seeing it, but it was like dreamlike. I want to be able to see it. I want to frame it. I want to put it on my altar. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff coming up. I'm going to write letters to my kids and just different things like that. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of healing, a lot of personal work, and I'm going to share it so that it can help someone else. Like, we're not going to live forever, but what stays behind is what we leave behind, whether that's a spouse, whether that's kids, whether that's a legacy, whether that's a book, you know, the movies that you were in, like whatever. You do leave things behind. And so using that creative energy, using my creative energy to create and leave things behind to help people that are in my lane. Because I realize, like, I associate with a lot of people, but I'm not in their lanes. Like, I'm not a mom, you know, I'm not a wife, I'm not a girlfriend. Just a lot of lanes that I'm not in, but those are my friends. And so I just kind of want to be in my lane and maybe find people that are in my lane. Not anything wrong, but I don't know. It's an emotion I'm still dealing with. Let's see. So when those cysts, they can grow and they can have teeth and hair and eyes and stuff. And that, to me, that proves that you can have a child by yourself. Now, why it turned into a cyst, probably the food and the chemicals and all, you know, 5D, everything that they're doing to us scientifically that we don't know about, with these Nazi scientists that are over here that nobody wants to talk about. But it shows you that it was trying to grow. But it grew in a deformed matter because something was out of whack. He definitely is against me in the female system. I just say in general, I feel like if I had my own farm with my own cows and my own pigs and my own turkeys, I would want them to live as long as they could. But if we necessarily needed to eat them, I would just say a prayer and I would feel so bad. And I would just do like maybe a whole celebration for that animal for like the whole year before we even kill it. And I would make sure it has to be like old, like not a new mother, you know, not a youngin'. Like, it just be so many things in place that would make me feel comfortable before I even kill it. Just for my nutrients, when I could eat a damn apple or something, I just feel like if we really, really needed to eat it, we would. And that's probably how some of the people felt. Because in some of these wars, they was eating their kids and stuff. They probably didn't want to do that. But shit, it came down to survival. And I'm like, damn, the animals was running from their ass. They had to eat each other. Like, every time I go outside, I see birds, squirrels and stuff. I just can't imagine not, you know, animals around. But I guess if everybody's hunting them, they're going to become scarce. But even just eating, knowing that you eating your child or your neighbor or something, they had to do something to you. Like, oh my God, we was so hungry. We was eating each other. It is so sad. And it was even turning, this was with the Nazis, they was even turning, I saw a documentary on the real Hitler, and it was saying it was turning into mothers who ate their kids and stuff. Don't be turning me in and you sat there and ate the kid too. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you go to a real low vibrational phase when you try to eat, but And in some areas we're not supposed to be in. Why do I want to go somewhere where it's cold and there's no food to eat? Like, we went to Jamaica, it was nice. And the taxi driver was saying how his family is in the States. He's there because he likes the weather year round. If I could, I would go there. I wouldn't mind like being somewhere tropical like Jamaica and just living, even though I don't speak the native tongue. Now, I would be worrying about trafficking and stuff like that, you know. But every time you go to these places, they're so happy and cheerful, and they may not have much, but they're still happy. Like, they up here cooking for you at the resort, and they're happy. You know, they're not making much, and they're happy. They have two choices. They go to resort school to learn hospitality school, or they like get their own boat and start, you know, doing that or whatever. But most of them do the hospitality because it's the hotels that make the money and stuff. And it's just like, they just be so happy with little. With the sun, to me, it's that sunshine, it's that food and stuff. The energy going in the food and all. They grow their own food. So it's cheaper because we getting food from them, not the other way around. Like, America don't do shit. We need everybody. How you gonna go to war with somebody and you need everybody? How dare we go to war with China and we need them? How dare we go to war with Mexico and how dare we go to war with anybody and we need them for everything? It's like you put yourself in a position to need. So whatever those other countries need, you should be doing because you need them. I don't know why we don't have farms and factories and stuff. Whose idea was it to shut that down? But I do know that they have bunkers underground and they store a lot of food and stuff. So when these shortages start and the food on the shelves gonna be going up. Oh, and be careful with the food. I had bought some butter beans. I was so mad. I had a taste for butter beans, and them butter beans was black. It looked like bacteria, like black mold. I'm like, I know they not washing the dates off these cans and reprinting dates on them. Now that's disgusting. Okay, so let me continue. And I had to throw both of them away. I was like, ugh. I'm glad I looked and didn't just put them in the damn pot. Fibroid tumors are a result of vibration of budding along the reproductive tract as little buds along the reproductive area. Fibroids. Budding along the reproductive tract. So to me, that means the egg was on her way to the ovary and got stuck somewhere and started growing, and that's the fibroid. Why is it doing that? Why is it not going from the egg through the tube to the uterus? Like, what is stopping? What is throwing off our vibration? And he mentioned no meat. And I do know they give those animals steroids. They touch them, that energy. That's really what it is, energy. If that animal suffered such a devastating death and you eat it, I don't think when we eat it's just nutrients. There's a vibration on that food too. I don't care what your prayer was. I think you still have to account for the vibrational level of that food. If Jesus' vibrational level elevated the whole world, that means everything has a vibration, including, which is why they say clean up your house to let good energy flow in. The chi energy, that's what Feng Shui is all about, the energy in the home and the way you do your furniture and stuff. I have a book on that. And yeah, you eating all that low vibrational stuff is bringing your vibration down. If I wear a crystal necklace and it's raising my vibration, if I play a singing bowl and it's raising my vibration, if I do a tuning fork and it's wearing my vibration, and then I go eat this toxic ass meat, you done raised your vibration 100 times and I brought it down to 0 because of that meat. It's like how I said last time, the Tesla was saying vibration is with everything. We just don't look at life that way. Like, everything is a math equation to me. Like, this, and this equal that vibration. This, and this equal that vibration. When I put them together, it equals what? Just like with your food, is it alkaline or acidic? Like everything really is numbers. It really is math, but they just don't, really have us look at it that way. He said the word conception means to conceive mentally. So again, I'm going to put that in my book because it starts in your mind. He said, take a deep breath. About to get to the rough stuff. Men descended from the woman. Circumcision is the artificial means to finalize that separation. And the reason why he said to finalize the separation is because the foreskin was trying to close to cover up the penis so that it would go back to being a vagina, and it wouldn't. If it's covered up, where's the semen gonna go? It's not gonna have a hole to come out of if the foreskin completely closes over the penis. So he was even mentioning that nature was trying to rectify itself. And they came up with, let's cut the foreskin off. Oh my God, it's so much wickedness. It's like for every bad thing we do, Mother Nature energy, it'll try to, do better. And then somebody will figure out how to do something else. Like, God dang, she literally was trying to cover up the penis. And then they started cutting the foreskin off. And we were taught in church to do that for cleanliness and all that other stuff. But if y'all can't even tell us that we produce by ourselves, why would we believe anything else that you have to say? I don't know. And not to say not to believe anything that you else have to say, but to just keep an open eye of there being a possibility of another answer. I'll say it that way. The penis is an elongated clitoris. It was interesting. He said when a woman lactates, a man can too. So I didn't look up any instances of that, but that would be interesting to see a man milking too. Because remember, we both were a woman. Just a little bit of testosterone. Drop them balls. And then if enough testosterone don't get there, he got the testosterone, but everything else is feminine, which is why they feel like I was born this way. You were, darling. You absolutely were born that way. So if you are having boys, make sure that you get enough testosterone in your body. And maybe that's why they came up with foods to eat if you're having a boy, and foods to eat if you're having a girl, because you want to help them grow into the best that they can be too. But people not knowing that, Women have 3 glands. The thyroid gland has 3 lobes, and the man has 2. Sodium iodine is the closest. Sodium iodine is what we need, and I am really going to look into that because I've heard that from someone else too. But he said the closest thing that we have to it is iron. But remember, iron is from land, and land is never going to have as much nutrients as plants from the water. So seaweed, I cannot wait to get. I actually bought seaweed from the store. They give you 15 chips in a little container, and it was so good. I ate the seaweed. It was like a little crunchy chip, real thin. It melts in your mouth. Very salty. I love salt anyway. It was amazing. And kale. I like kale. And I have to do seaweed. I have to get seaweed. No, I had the seaweed chips. I wonder if I could buy seaweed and make. Oh, I had went in a Chinese store the other day and they had seaweed, but it just looked disgusting. I just want to go in there to see what they eat and stuff. Almost done, y'all. Let's see. The epochs Varun. is a good guide between the ovary, uterus, and the mesophyx. And again, I'm not a doctor, y'all. The feral foreign, this was the one, is a seminal fluid that has secretions just like men. And that's why they don't tell us about our 3 glands. And men only have 2. And correct me if I'm wrong. If we have more, that means we were the firstborn. That means we were the one. That means we were the beginning. Like your firstborn is always going to be your firstborn. Your second going to be your second. Second can't say I'm the firstborn. You were not. And that's how some of them stories are in the Bible too. Trying to get the birthright and this, that, the other. Because you're not the firstborn. I think it's deeper than that. The firstborns were gods. They reproduced on their own. I don't know. It just seemed like I just be getting closer and closer. But then he said, salt. When we eat salt, it makes them entropy, which is waste away. So we waste away the ferrophorone, which is the seminal fluid secretions, which is why they put salt in every damn thing and end up with diabetes and shit. It's doing more harm than we know. When they say don't eat salt, stay away from salt, we just don't even know how deep it goes. When the damn seaweed is salty as hell, just sprinkle that in the food. He said, watch your thoughts when you're on your period. Between the moonlight and the sunlight and your thoughts, you can have a good period or a worse period. And I never, my thoughts just be doing what they want to do. I'm going to be more intentional with my thoughts. And I'm going to do another podcast on monkey brain, because I swear, and I know meditation is going to help with that. I'm really good at praying because I'm talking the whole time, like, bless them with this and bless them with that and help them with this and help them with that. But just sitting down, I be thinking about stuff. I haven't gotten to the point of pure silence yet. And it's annoying because I'm like, supposed to be quiet, supposed to be quiet, supposed to be quiet. But all these thoughts is running. But they say the more you do it, the better it'll get. So I'm still working on it. Animal protein pulls you down. So for the divine feminine, the more animal protein that you put in your body, the more it pulls you down. So someone once told me, I think men are supposed to eat meat. Yeah, that could be true. If we're more divine, and you aren't, then maybe you can do better with the food than us, perhaps. He referred to women as the Godhead or the angel. But we produced on lower levels. And when we did produce before on lower levels, it was because we were ordered by God. So I never thought about that. The whole purpose of reproduction was an instruction from God. So to me, that brings me back to that whole Adam and Eve story. She wasn't even supposed to reproduce until she was told to. But her and Adam done fucked around and had a damn baby. So, and he probably raped her, to be honest. Yeah, I think that story was a lot worse than they want us to know, because nobody would pick that shit up. If that was the story that Adam raped Eve, everybody would be like, fuck this shit. Nobody would read it. So I feel like somebody doctored it up real good and made it the number one and still getting rich off it. The number one bestseller. How you the number one across all the books in the world? That's not the only holy scripture. I just don't understand how that's the only one. And it got stories from other ones. How is, to me, the oldest spiritual book should be number one, because it's the oldest. But I digress. Let's see. So I do have prayers in my book, because if this is supposed to be a God thing, then I definitely want to make sure that I'm in line with God and not doing things because I want to, but because it's in my journey, in my calling, in my path. So it's interesting how all this is coming full circle. when you drop the meat, your dreams become more vivid, which they have. Like, I literally wake up remembering my dreams. Like, last night I had a dream about Dr. Blair, and he told me as I woke up, this is what I held on to: talk to your DNA, command your DNA. So in the book, The Holographic Earth, and I'm literally going to get all the books in there because they just amaze me so much, but he references books that he's read. So his book is not even his book. It's literally millions of references from other books. But one lady, she would have, there was like it's one lady, but in her mind she can imagine like 10 of her, and one of her is like praying for protection all day long, one of her is doing math calculations, another her, and I'm just like, damn, the mental capacity that she has, that she's really doing all of those things. Like, y'all seen the guy with the many hands, and women usually is like that. She probably think about the bills, think about the kids, think about her husband. Women probably do that, in all honesty. But this one was more on the spiritual path. So she didn't get sick because she's literally telling her DNA, boost your immune system, white blood cells, increase your increase your protection. She's literally just giving commands 24 hours a day, and doesn't get sick. And in the Bible, it really does say man ought to always pray. And perhaps pray is affirmations. Perhaps affirmations are commandments. We're always supposed to be commanding this body and not giving other people power to command our body. What you look like being in the military and letting the other party command your army? Do that make any sense? You definitely about to lose. And that's how I feel about this whole COVID coronavirus medical industry. We went from healing ourselves, and then doctors disappearing or getting killed for killing cancer, women getting murdered, disappearing or getting killed for telling parents not to give their kids vaccinations. It's like, if that shit did not affect my business, I don't give a fuck. But the moment you mess with my money, now you're an enemy, which means I know what you're saying is true, and I have to get rid of you. That's the only way to look at it. And I just don't understand how people don't understand that. Like, you in life, you get rid of your competition. Walmart got rid of all the little mom and pop stores. They got rid of their competition. Not that the little stores were wrong. They just wanted to be number one, and they did. And I don't understand how AT&T couldn't be a monopoly, but Walmart is a monopoly over the whole world. Did we forget about that? But again, it's another podcast. Let me check my time. Nuclear DNA is both parents. Mitochondrial DNA is inherited only from the mother, but it can be altered by radiation and thought. And I think they got us with this radiation. But I think if your thought can overpower the radiation would have no threshold. So they got us out of our God thought element. Because and I looked at that thing like 4-5 times. One time, one of the things, or the way that he said it was, woman can control DNA with her mind. DNA is this whole fucking world, y'all. Which brings me back to X-Men and Storm and all, woman. Because if God made her and she could do all that stuff, the power is definitely in her. She just forgot. And then they're keeping it down with radiation. Woman has a mental chromosome ability to change a pattern of any DNA molecule. There you go. Mental chromosome ability to change a pattern of any DNA molecule. So whatever sickness you have is really mind over matter. And all these quotes that we be hearing, it's literally mind over matter. Mind over matter. Which is why I cannot wait to do the podcast on monkey brain and just meditation and like all of that. Like universe really set this thing up. Like I really have my books lined up with what I'm learning and applying, and it's so funny how it's just coming hand in hand. Like meditation, yep, I got a book on that, and it's just leading me right. They all point to each other. It's so amazing. He said, "Oh woman, if you only knew who you were, then men would know who he is. Virgins were born and taken from their homes." I agree with that. So remember in the Bible where was it King Herod went across killing all the babies trying to find Jesus? I don't even think it was about Jesus. If Jesus was born, other babies was being born too. So I feel like the story just was about Jesus because that's the one that was running. But imagine if it was 100 Marys. We only heard the story of Jesus. But I'm sure it was a lot of mothers having those virgin births. And I feel like that's why all those babies were killed. Which I feel like that's why they got this whole Planned Parenthood. And which is why kids go missing. Have you ever thought about that? Why do random kids go missing and not all kids? Are those special kids that they're taking? Are those the Virgin Marys that they're kidnapping? It just makes you think. When you go in this hole, it never stops. Ever. And then he mentioned there's 96 to 240 missing books of the Bible. I had no idea. I thought it was like 6. 96 and 240? They only told us part they want to hear. So if I'm wrong, I'm only going to tell you the part that I want you to hear. That's just kind of how it goes. And not even to say that with the game of telephone, you tell one story, when it gets to the end, it's completely different. It's just too much time has passed by for us to have the complete story. It's changed too many times. And then when you have different opinions and perspectives and stuff, somebody might tell you the same story, but they might tell it in their way, you know, just because we're just different beings. But he mentioned, this was back in 2000, that the awakening has begun. The sun emits energy causing cyst. The sun emits energy causing cysts for low vibrations. The sun works on it and kills it because that's why it thinks you ate the meat to die. So the sun can't realize why you're putting low vibrations in your body, and it is programmed to kill low vibrations. So it can only assume that you want to die. So help yourself. Help yourself vibrate high, get out of the low vibrations, so when the sun is beaming down, killing things, it's not killing you. No matter how much shit they put in the sky, chemtrails, the sun still shines through. So I put the sun kills low vibrational energy. I've never heard anybody say it that way. He said, be careful you get frequency from your thoughts. So I would say frequency is everything. Frequency is how clean your house is. Frequency is the water you drink. Is it purified? Is it spring water? Is it that nasty ass fluoride water? I think frequency is your food. Frequency could be the conversation you have. Frequency could be the things that you do. Frequency be how clean your body is. Frequency could be the way you act, dress. Frequency is everything. If we could literally see the numbers on everything, it would be a different world if we could see these numbers. He said you get low vibe from food, especially meat. And I put help yourself vibe and thoughts, foods, basically everything that you do. I'm almost done, y'all. Lastly, mankind, human, angels, and gods will be on the planet in 2000. I feel like that's what a lot of these battles are that we see. These clouds aren't really clouds, they're spaceships. And with this war, one must go to sleep. So one is going to rise and one is going to fall. take your natural herbs and your magnets and your crystals and dandelion weeds. He said any plant that grows through chaos was sent to help you. And he said we kill them. So I am going to get some dandelion root. And I know people do make dandelion root teas. And the same thing that it do in the ground is the same thing that it would do to you. So all the chemicals and toxins and concrete, that dandelion still grow. And so in your body, all the toxins, all that other stuff is still going to help you live. It's the same thing. Weeds are medicine. Anything that grows in the street, he said, get your herbal guide. The reason it grows in the street, and it can stop your menses. I missed that part. It could stop your menses. Dandelion root. In order to beat radiation, you have to have a higher consciousness. Grow your own food. The gods are returning in the babies, which is why there's such a big war on the babies. God is singular, not plural. The gods are returning in the babies. I think that has a lot to do with the trafficking. I feel like that has a lot to do with the Planned Parenthood and, putting all this poison in our food. And so many women are having reproductive issues to stop those babies from coming back in. I feel like the shot, I tried to tell everybody that shot is lowering the sperm count in men and it's making the women infertile. Nobody wanted to hear me. Nobody. And not only that, it's giving off a spike protein. So not only did you do something to yourself, but you could be affecting all the people around you. Like, what kind of warfare? We are in World War IV. They don't want to tell nobody. We are in World War IV, and it's not with ourselves. It's with us and low vibrational entities. They want to call them aliens. I call them demons. Let's just call a spade a spade. And they eat low vibrational things, which is why the world is in chaos. Just think about the movie, you know what it reminded me of? The movie Trolls. Sometimes they always happy and singing, and then the trolls was always sad and angry. You saw those two different energies, and they both thrived in their energies. And Little Miss Troll had to teach them another way. And to me, I think that's why all in one, instead of wanting to eradicate the other, as higher beings, we're just supposed to, help raise their consciousness, help them do better in a loving way. It's just so hard because they're so evil. But I guess that's like the ultimate love, is to help or encourage a dark soul to do better versus just eliminating them, which I can agree with, which is why I don't like the death row, which is why I don't agree with being in jail forever, because you want to give these people a chance to learn from their mistake, to become a better person, to be an example, to help this next generation so they can learn from your mistake. They might can get out and write a book. They might can get out and go talk to, all the high schools in their area and the gang members and just different stuff like that. Like, I don't think you should just throw the baby away with the water. So if I can look at the jail people that way, then it's the same way all around. It's all or none. Remember, all or none. God is singular, not plural. So I used to say goddess. I got a whole shirt that say goddess, but it's literally God, because God can make men and woman, because she is all. She is God. So they be throwing us off with the goddess thing. Just like the whole king and queen. I think it was queendom. That's just my opinion. It was all about her, but they done flipped it to kingdom. I don't agree with that. Because just in general, men are more animalistic. They just want to fight and kill and murder and destroy. And women aren't like that. Like, they can be. I mean, we have masculine as well, but it's more nurturing and teaching, and that love energy gonna always shine through. which is why you see a lot of people in relationships that they shouldn't be in. It's that love. That's just how we were built. It's that God love that's in us. And a lot of women end up teaching the men, and when they grow, it's so beautiful to see. It just takes them so much longer to get there. It's like watching a snail race. Let's see. He said when you vibrate low, you will reproduce the pains of karma. So always vibe high. And for the longest, I've been telling my sisters to vibe high, vibe high, vibe high, vibe high. I don't know why that just was like screaming out of me, like vibe high no matter what comes at your door, like vibe high. Which I've noticed, because when I'm low, it seems like everything affects me 10 times worse than when I'm vibing high. And I really think it has to do with your aura too. Like your aura defenses come down. You have about 10 of them, and they come down because you vibing so low. But the higher you vibe, the stronger those feels get, and they're just energetic feels that some people can see them. That when people say things or do things, it's harder to get to you because you're in the center. Some kids are here to teach the adults, which is probably why they're getting rid of them left and right. He basically summarized it by our intelligence was taken away. To me, and that's why when those people have those near-life experiences, they tell them to love and learn. Love and learn. Love and learn. Because loving is just always going to be the number one superpower. But learning about... I just read Alkaline Herbal Medicine. What page am I on? I'm on page 26. Meat is carcinogenic. It's cancerous. Carcinogenic. It's cancerous. It literally is. Now I'm finna find the sentence so I can read it. Okay, ecosystem, medicine, alkaline. I said, well, I be. And I already saw this on What the Hell. But to actually see it in a book, it's like, okay. Alkaline plant food. Like, and they still selling this shit. That's what be making me mad. It be like, give the people a fighting chance. But then sometimes when you tell people, they'll like make a joke out of it. Oh, let me get 2 burgers. And it's like, it's at this point, it's not about me. Shit, I ain't eating it. It's 100% about you. But I don't know. And that's why when sometimes people say they love themselves, I be thinking, but do you really? Do you really? But then at the end of the day, people can only do as well as they know, which points back to knowledge. I mean, some people know better and they still don't do better, but to me, that proves that they don't really know better, because if you knew better, you honestly would do better. Nobody has to tell you to not sleep with somebody with AIDS. You know better in that, aspect, so you can know better in all aspects. Let me see if it's in the back. Oh, she just put her notes. Oh, come on, pH scale. Genome. Maybe I didn't go further enough. Alkaline, water, protein. This thing is gonna bother me until I find it. Anyways, it's carcinogenic. And I can't believe it's actually like on the website. And I mean, I feel like, in my point of view, if they could put carcinogenic on cigarettes, like a warning label, they should be able to put that on meat, and they haven't. That's my argument. Nobody's going to the website when they order meat. They're going in the store and looking at the price and picking up the meat. But if there is a warning on there that says carcinogenic, I don't think people would pick it up. I really don't. But, I don't know. And he ended with, "This time is a good time if we know what to do with it." And I feel like that is life. Maybe if we knew how to get the cancer out of meat, it would be okay. Which to me would be having your own farm and feeding them. I don't think anything is bad. It's what you do to it that in turn makes it good or bad, and whether that's for the world, for the micro, everything. So I personally just don't want to eat meat because it's like a mother. It has kids. It's like me in a sense. And killing it, I just feel bad. But you guys, my parents, I always was like, oh my God, look at the blood. Oh my God. It just always was just like emotional. I knew my parents was sick of me. I've always been emotional. Just this emotional little thing. And I just be feeling. I wish I could take my feelings and put them on someone else, because that's the only way they would understand the way that I do what I do. I say what I say. I think what I think, and I feel what I feel. It's the feel. It all goes back to the feelings. If you know how it would feel to eat meat, you wouldn't eat it. But without these feelings, you don't know. And the feeling that I get is like somebody killing your child in front of you. It's like that same type of feeling. So I don't know. Just the emotions that I have, and they're getting stronger too. Like, I'll literally be talking to my sister and just be crying. Like, what the fuck? Like, I can't even have a regular conversation. I was here crying. So they're getting stronger. Something's going on. But yes, I'm so excited for this episode of Divine Feminine. And it's not over. I just wanted to get through his 1 hour video. Those are my cliff notes. So this is what I researched on top of that. I wanted to look at different animals. I was like, okay, so if women can rule, let's see, do they do that in the animal kingdom as well? So I was looking at the Prize of Lion, and the reason this came to me is I didn't know Beyonce had a new CD come out, like Lion King, where she got 2 lions on the front. And one of the songs on there, all of the songs I really liked. I'm like, she's really into her African queendom heritage. And I was like, not even with Lion King, but just lions in general, you'll see about 10 lionesses and 1 lion. So I just, and when they hunt, it's the female that hunt, not the man. So let that just sink in. But the Prize of Lions are run by females. There's no queen. I feel like if we were running these countries, we wouldn't be like, I'm the queen of America. You're the queen of this and you're the queen. We all would understand, like, these are my children. These are my babies. This is my country. I love them. It will be more of a motherly, this is my tribe, not a conquer like men. But so there's no queen. Prides are run by generations of females who own and defend a territory together. You see that? Now, I thought that was just a human thing. Lionesses own land. Oh, okay. Males, on the other hand, leave their home around 2 or 3 years old, and they join forces to conquer a new pride, fighting other males and establishing a hierarchy. And I feel like that's what happened with men too. Women was running these villages. they probably kick the men out. And the men have to go, on his own. And he probably wanted things to be the other way around. I could see some Mufasa jealousy. And so maybe that whole Lion King story is twisted. Maybe Nyla was the queen or whatever. And Mufasa was jealous that she was running this shit. So, they be lying all the time. I just thought that was interesting. So that was the lions. I have a quote. The oldest fossilized bones ever found were women. All of them were discovered in East Africa, Ethiopia to be exact. These women could reproduce asexually without the assistance of males. This was done by the Barthian gland, which women still possess to this day. Did you know women could produce semen in their bone marrow? Did you know that the X chromosome is 5 times larger than the Y chromosome? Women created us. Oh, okay. And it's crazy because I be saving these pictures. Like, I have so many pictures backed up. It's ridiculous. But they all come together. Like, I probably wouldn't even think about that picture, but they all just come together when I be doing these podcasts. So 6 matriarchal societies that have been thriving with women at the helm for centuries. In these communities around the globe, women oversee everything from politics, economics, and the broader social structure. Let's see. If you ever look far enough back in history, you'll find that women were revered and honored for their ability to bear children. Even if you just crack open a Greek epic, the pages are teeming with goddesses and female warriors elevated to a position of worship and respect. But over the course of history, society across the globe started to bend towards a more patriarchal structure, which is pervasive in most communities in modern times. However, there are still surviving matriarchal societies to be found where women literally are the dominant steering factor in all matters, social, political, and economical. 6 individual communities across the globe have diverged from the Western patriarchal architecture that is pervasive throughout most of the world. The first one is Mosuo, China. The Mosuo women are China's last surviving matriarchy. There are about 40,000 of them, according to The Independent, and they practice Tibetan Buddhism. Lineage is traced through the women of the family. This society is also matrilineal, meaning property is handed down to the same female line. Mosuo women also don't marry. Should they choose to have a partner, the two don't live together, and the mother plays the primary role in raising the children. So that just hit me. So women basically are built to be single mothers. Like, they will do that shit with or without a man. But if a husband and wife are married and the wife dies, the husband will be struggling with them damn kids. So that just proves who the dominant one is. But if the man were to die, the woman probably won't even remarry, and she'll keep that family going on. My grandmother, Grandma Arlene, granddaddy died and she raised them kids. My granddaddy was not around and she raised them kids. So it's definitely there to do just fine without them. I guess my hope and prayer is to just continue to grow myself spiritually and consciously, to have a partner that's spiritual and conscious as well, and together have conscious children. Like, I want to be able to make a salad and a smoothie and not have any complaints, because that is a life dinner, because I want you to live, because I literally love you. I don't think there's anything funny about that. But me giving you cancerous food talking about I love you, that just don't make sense to me. But that's just me. Number 2, Bribri, Costa Rica. The Bribri people are an indigenous tribe with an estimated 12,350 members. No, 12 to 35,000 members. In this society, land is handed down from the mother to her children. Women are revered and thus are the only people who can prepare a sacred drink for their ritual practices, which is true, like they are. Umoja, Kenya. The Umoja tribe is a true blue no man's land because men are banned. The village is a home to women who have experienced sexual or gender-based violence. The Umoja village, which means unity in Swahili, was founded in 1990. As occupations, the women and children show tourists the village and work to educate others about their rights. Minangkabau, Indonesia. These people are part of the largest surviving matriarchal society, encompassing approximately 4 million people as of 2017. God darn. The common belief in this culture is that the mother is the most important person in society. Women rule the domestic realm of life, and while marriage is feasible, partners must have separate sleeping quarters. Wow. Akan, Ghana. According to Mental Floss, the social organization of the Akan people is built around the matriclan. Within the matriclan identity, inheritance, wealth, and politics are all decided. As the name would have it, matriclan founders are female. However, it must be notated that with the Akan matriclan, men do hold leadership positions. And I think that's to feed their ego. I could see a woman doing that. The Kashi, India. As of 2011, the matriarchal society was comprised of about 1 million. Mothers and mother-in-laws are the only people allowed to look after children. And according to The Guardian, men aren't even entitled to attend family gatherings. What's more, when women marry in the tribe, their surname is passed down instead of that of the husband's. Well, so these are existing tribes today, which brings me back to America. How Native American women inspired the women's rights movement. Having worked for women's rights for 40 years, Gage and Stanton became increasingly frustrated with their inability to make major gains in the social, economical, or political positions as women in the 1880s. And their disappointment, they looked beyond the Euro-American culture that was already known intimately to them and gained a vision of a world of equality from their nearby neighbors. Stanton and Gage grew up in the land of Haudenosaunee, the Six Nations of Iroquois Confederacy. The Onondaga, Mohawk, Seneca, Cayuga, Ondia, and Turocora, who had social, religious, economic, and political positions far superior to their own, they wrote. The Six Nation Haudenosaunee Confederacy had and still have a family governmental structure based on female authority. The women control the economy in their nations through their responsibility for growing and distributing the food. They have the final authority over land transfers and decisions about engaging in war. Children came through the mother line, not the fathers. And if the parents separated, the children stayed with their mother. And if she died, with her clan family. Women controlled their own property and belongings, as did the children. Political power was shared equally among everyone in the nation, with decisions made by consensus in the pure democracy, the oldest continuing one in the world. And that's how I feel America or how Gaia was before. And then somewhere along the line it switched. But I could definitely see everything being like this with women, just because of that love component. And that intuition and wisdom from spirit. Still today, the chief and clan mothers share leadership responsibilities. The clan mother chooses and advises the chief, placing and holding him in office. See, I think over time we have to feed that ego. These men appointed by women carry out the business of government. So maybe Kamala running this shit and we think it's being who be sleep at meetings and stuff. I still be praying for them though. And my prayer is that they will raise in consciousness and make better decisions, spiritual decisions for everybody, not just for personal or financial wealth or political gain. Like, I be saying prayers like that. Because in the Bible, it do say you need to pray for your leaders and stuff. But that don't mean the leaders be right. And that don't mean I got to pray. That's my prayer for the leaders, okay? Let's see. These men appointed by the women carry out the business of government. The clan mother also has the responsibility of removing a chief who doesn't listen to the people and make good decisions, giving due consideration to 7 generations in the future. That's amazing. His decisions should consider 7 future generations. I don't think we think like that. We don't think like that. Cutting down these trees was not thinking about 7 generations. I don't think we don't think like that. There's no thinking of that. We don't think like that. That is amazing. His decisions for 7 generations in the future. And it should be really all generations in the future. To be chosen as a chief, the man cannot be a warrior, since it is a confederacy based on peace. Nor can he ever have stolen anything or abused a woman. Women live free of fearing violence from a man. The spiritual belief in the sacredness of woman and the earth, the mutual creators of life. Yes. This is why I'm so glad I'm getting into my when it comes to spirituality. I do reverence my parents, my grandparents, all the ancestry.com, but I do know that since they changed Negro to Black, they are indigenous. So I am in the process of getting my altar together for my Cherokee gods and goddesses, and I also have reference for the Ifa African gods and goddesses, the Oesha, I said Ifa, the Oesha, and the Egyptian gods and goddesses. Now there's so many gods and goddesses, but culturally these are the ones that I'm connected to. I do feel like if this is a game of telephone, they all are repeating each other in a sense. So they all go back to Africa, Egypt, if you ask me. But my altar is going to have Cherokee, Oesha, Orisha, and Egyptian. Because y'all been on this journey with me. Remember I was looking at all other gods? It's like, no, these are the ones. And see, that's why it's important to learn your past, because your past most definitely dictates your future. Like, I'm a whole divine feminine. That's going to change my whole now and my whole future. And I don't even remember them talking about that in church. Their whole thing was getting married and having kids in a marriage. Like, it's so much more than just that. It's so much more than just that. Okay, let's see. And it wasn't working, because there's single mamas in every church that you go in. So it's definitely not working. Let's see. If it occurs, remember they don't think about rape or beating. If it occurs, the offender is punished severely by the men of the victim's clan family, sometimes by death or banishment. And see, this how I know this ain't my culture. It's like Epstein got a whole island torturing women and doing God know what. I saw one, I kid y'all not. A black woman had her hands and feet sprawled out, and they were electrocuting her pussy, and her whole body was shaking. So what type of person enjoys that? B, who helped them kidnap this person? And C, she had to be alive? You know what I mean? So you don't want to go hunt. I feel like it escalated from hunting crows to hunting deer to hunting people. It's just like they just keep going down and down and down. And I don't know. I mean, is there hope for them? And just if you just go look up Epstein Island, it's just ridiculous. And It took years for them to get the man, and then he just all of a sudden dies in his cell, and then the 2 security guards lied. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So I like the way they do justice. The victim's clan men either gonna kill him or banish him. And to banish him, he must have been cool with somebody for them to have mercy on him, because it should be death off rip. You let me be the judge. That's why I think I was brought here to Earth, to learn a little more love, because when it comes to stuff like that, I do be like, okay, death. I don't play about them kids. I just don't understand how, like, the kid isn't gonna win. You're gonna win. Like, it's something wrong with that battle. Like, you can run faster than that kid. I don't know. It's just so unfair. It's unbalanced. That's what it is. It bothers the Libra in me. Let's see. So yeah, that's all I want to read from that. I thought that was interesting. I have all the links are at the bottom. Okay, so this is about the birth, virgin birth, inconceivable. Surely the story that shocked 1950 Britain. In an era before DNA testing, it was a story that shocked 1950 Britain, scandalized the church, and divided the medical profession. Anne Marie Jones was convinced that her daughter Monica had been conceived without a man. Author Claire Chamber investigates. If it is every journalist's dream to break a story that makes their name and doubles their paper circulation, then in June 1956, all of Aubrey's writings' dreams came true. A reporter on the Sunday's Pictorial, which later became the Sunday Mirror, Whitting was responsible for an article concerning the mystery of Miss Emory Jones, who became known nationwide as the Virgin Mother. The story began in 1955 with a lecture by genetics Dr. Helen Spurway of University College in London, which described how the female of a species of guppy fish, while kept segregated from the men, can independently produce female offspring, as well as notating a laboratory creation of viable baby rabbits without male parents. So just pause for a moment. If it happens in nature, it can happen with us, because we all are one, right? So if there are plants mating by themselves, if there are animals, germs, insects, mammals, you can't just say everything else does it but human. It's just like at the end of the day, they're telling us false information and forcing us to believe that it's true, when nature tells us that it exists. So you're telling nature that nature is a lie, which means you're telling God that God is a lie, which means you're telling self that self is a lie, because you are God. Hello, that came back around full circle. So I don't know if the fucking animals can do it. And to me, like, your DNA and everything is based off survival. So maybe if you on an island by yourself, your body like, bitch, you gonna die. You the only one here. You need to reproduce. Perhaps it's a situation like that, just like with the guppies. Like, your body knows this is an intelligent being all by itself. You're not telling your heart to pump. You're not telling your eyes to blink. You know what I mean? You're not telling your kidneys to, like, it's doing everything automatically. You're just helping it along by the herbs and foods and water that you drink and stuff. So I'll continue. This example of reproduction without fertilization in a mammal led Dr. Spurway to call for a re-examination of the assumption that spontaneous, aka virgin birth, was impossible in humans. Today, whatever, I'm not going to read that part because I don't agree with it. And I can see the picture. British doctors give a startling verdict. After 6 months research on virgin birth, we have been unable to prove that any man took a part in the creation of this child. All the results are consistent with virgin birth. So that's already in a paper. And we know back then it wasn't no internet. You know what I mean? Paper was basically law. Paper was just like Bible. It ain't going in there if it's not true. So just like the news, they won't let people say true stuff on there. They're going to shut it down. It's really controlled. So let me see. They had went through so many people. Of the 19 women who came forward, 11 were discounted straight away, having misunderstood the criteria. 6 pairs were ruled out after a test found that mothers and daughters had 9 identical blood groups, and a pair was eliminated because they had different color eyes. Finally, one correspondent remained. A German woman called Emery Jones had written the newspaper in imperfect English. For 10 years, I have been wondering and worried about the birth of my daughter. I honestly believe that she has no father. Miss Jones claimed that she had been a virgin at the time of the alleged conception and, moreover, bedridden with rheumatism in a Germany hospital staffed only by women. After leaving the hospital in the summer of 1944, she had gone to the doctor feeling lethargic and hoping to be prescribed a tonic. See, tonic is what they did in the old days. Tonics is herbs and oils, and sometimes whiskey or liquor, only to be told that she was 3 months pregnant. There had been no opportunity. It can't possibly be true, was her response. In 1948, 2 years after her daughter's birth, she married a Welshman and moved to Henford, where she was still living when she responded to the appeal in the pictorial. So let's see. The test confirmed that mother and daughter had identical blood, saliva, sense of taste, all apparently consistent with the case of virgin birth. So far, so good. And even though the final test, a skin graft between mother and daughter and vice versa, failed to take, which I doubt, as probably became classified, Dr. Balorf Lynn still felt that the evidence of blood tests along with the testimony of Mrs. Jones were so perceivable that he felt able to declare, "We have been unable to prove that any man took part in the creation of this child." Okay, let me scroll back up and see what year this was again, you guys. 1956. It's 2021. So Jesus long been born and it's still happening. Them genes are still out there, y'all. This was the trip part, though. This was the scary part to me. The other mystery is the whereabouts of Emma Marie and Monica after their movement in the spotlight. Over the 6 months of the investigation, Aubrey Whitting had got to know Miss Jones well, visited her home in Henford, and considered her a friend. Speaking in an interview on BBC Radio 4 Woman's Hour in 2001, she recalled, "Then, not long after publication, of course, she disappeared from the face of the earth. She said she thought she might go to Germany for a little while, and she said, 'I'll be in touch with you.' I never heard another word from her. I wrote to her several times at the German address that she gave me and never heard anything. It's very strange." The key players in the investigation are no longer with us. Helen Spurray died in 1978, Stanley Burloff Lynn in 1986, and Audrey Whitting in 2009. Records of birth, marriage, and death show that Emma Marie, who married to Ernest Jones in Henford in 1948, died in Camden in 1983. But of Monica, there has been no trace. And so to me, like Germany, they already up on the metaphysical. I wouldn't be surprised if they took her, was testing her and her daughter. You know, of course, they want to use that as a weapon. Women that can breed on their own. They just want to be able to control it instead of allowing us to control our own damn self. But yeah, that's the article, y'all. Like, it's literally, she had the child on her own. And if there's no way you can't not believe it if you believe Jesus. I mean, there's just no way around it. You either believe or you don't. No ifs, ands, or buts. So let me see. So this was good because y'all know I was researching my witches. Wild Woman Sisterhood. It was not witches who burned. It was women. Women who were seen as too beautiful, too outspoken, had too much water in the well. Yes, seriously. Who had a birthmark. Women who were too skilled in herbal medicine, too loud, too quiet, too much red in her hair. Women who had strong nature connection. Women who danced. Women who sung or anything else, really. Any woman was at risk burning in the 1600s. Sisters testified and turned on each other when their babies were held under ice. Children were tortured to confess their experiences with witches by being fake executed in ovens. Women were held underwater, and if they float, they were guilty and executed. If they sunk and drowned, they were innocent. Women were thrown off cliffs. Women were put in deep holes in the ground. The start of this madness was years of famine, war between religions, and lots of fear. The churches said that witches, demons, and the devil did exist, and women were nothing but trouble. As we see even today, there is often a scapegoat created, and the chaos escalated in Sweden when the Bible became a law, and everything that did not line up with what the church said became lethal. The Bible fascination killed thousands of women. Everything connected to a woman became feared, especially her sexuality. It became labeled as dark and dangerous and was the core of the witch trials throughout the world. Let me just pause for a moment. So now when I see women doing hexes and women turning evil and it's because you birthed them. The women that have died have cried out from the soil. Their energy is on the earth, and they have absorbed that energy. They want to wreak havoc for their ancestors. You birthed the evil in women. You birthed that. So how can you get mad at it? And then they're going to be like, oh, a woman scorned. Why was she scorned? It's like throwing a rock at somebody's head. And like, why you got a bump on your head? Bitch, because you threw a whole rock at me. What you mean? Y'all know. I still got love in my heart for my witches because I feel like they got it mixed up. I feel like they call it witches just like how we say the word bitches today. But it really was women. It really was the divine feminine. If you really want to be honest, you mean to tell me she knew what plants in the forest that could heal? You mean to tell me she could have kids on her own? You mean to tell me she could run villages? She was superior. And the man ego had enough. That's really what it was. Let me keep going. So why do I write this? Because I think the uses of words are important, especially when we are doing the work to pull these murky, repressed, and forgotten about stories to the surface, because knowing our history is important when we are building the new world, when we are doing the healing work of our lineages, and as women, to give the women who were slaughtered a voice, to give them redress and a chance of peace. It was not witches who burned, it was woman. Author Thea Ferostrom. That was beautiful. And some of the comments are: men's eternal fear of women. Yes, we have power. We created life and home. Thankfully, we can do as we like in this country for the most part, but still too many who suppress women today all over the world. And that is true. I think in one country, women weren't able to drive. They can just now drive and just now go to work. And they're working on that Facebook metaverse. It's like, so you only give them privileges when you want to use them. They could have been driving and going to work and making money. And that was a way to make them feel needed. I guess that's what I don't hate man. Man is beautiful. Black man especially is amazing. He should be king. But I be looking at things like as a whole. So it's not the black men really that aren't letting them women go to work. Shit, over here in America, most women are working, and the man might be in the house not working, if you want to be honest. But not letting her work so that she has to depend on him. Not letting her get land so she has to depend on him. Making her marry at a young age and have kids. What if she wanted to be a whole doctor and didn't want kids? But, maybe her mom and dad forced her to do that. It's just, I just be looking at the whole picture, and that's what I don't agree with, because I see things from a whole. But I guess you have to break them down individually and look at each perspective. Somebody said, indeed, an awful part of our past. It's not the past, it's definitely the present. But that was my part. But think of the appropriate lesson to take is not whether they were men or women. It should be that all people have a capable to do awful things out of fear, men and women alike. As you mentioned, the women that were in fear of persecution damned others out of their own fear, along with the men. Men who stood against this were also met with the same fate, but they were more than likely more women around at the point anyway, as more of the men who had killed for protecting their families and fighting wars. He has a valid point. All the men were fighting these crusades. You had all these women at home with these kids. I think to balance things out, they came up with the plan, depopulation again, get rid of these women. We got to call them witches and all. Like, something is always made up for their agenda of depopulation. As too many people, it's not enough food, let's create a war. As too many people, it's not enough food, let's create a virus. As too many people, it's not enough food, let's do this. Like, we're sick of the bullshit. It's more room. If they stop trying to control stuff, it's more room for us to do what we want to do. They just want to control. It's too much for you to control. If you want to be honest, you can't control. That's what it is. So I work at a call center, and people are usually say, it took me 3 hours to get through. And one of my customers, I was like, why? How did the question come up? He was like, you want to know? Oh, yeah. I said, why don't they let everybody call? He was like, you want to know why all the calls can't come through? He was like, think of a telephone line, you know, the one that curls around. He said, that controls the flow. He said, if it's open, everything gets through and not all the calls get addressed. But if you squeeze it, the certain amount that get through can be addressed. And I said, well, I'll be down. Because they want to do like quality and stuff, like, oh, we got through certain amount of calls, we did this percentage, that percentage. No, you really didn't. Those numbers aren't really true, because you didn't let all those calls through. If all the calls came through and we did 10% of calls, that's a D. You failed. So I was like, oh, he was like, think about it. That's how they work. To continue this man's point of view, I agree that men have done awful things out of fear and insecurity, but often misguided and manipulated by dogly people. But we shouldn't forget that many millions of men that have died over the years in protection of women and children, despite the danger to themselves. Let's not jump on the side and fight amongst ourselves out of fear of others' intentions, as that is the driving force behind some of the darkening sides of humanity, past and present. This is a difficult but promising time for us all, where the needs and dangers of the past do not have to make us who we are. We live in a time where we can try to understand and respect another's differences and not act out of our own prejudice against them, whether man, woman, black, white, or anywhere in between. And that's a good point of view. Somebody said one of their relatives was hung. She was tutoring a boy who suffered from seizures. Took her grandson 20 years to clear her name. Wow. Somebody else said, I'm going to add my little two bob in the picture. We all face a manipulative evil that has been twisting Adonis' beautiful creations right from the beginning. And it wasn't the blame of the woman for taking the first bite. It was a test of created man to see how responsible he would be. And as we know, we men stuffed it up. So this one act of disobedience has plagued existence till this day. So much pain and suffering then and continues today. Adonai God never intended this, but gave us free will to choose. So let's stop pointing fingers and choose the better way today. How? Research and go back to historical times and then some more, and you will discover that Adonai God is true love and so much more than you can handle. Yes, he came in the form of a man, Yeshua, Jesus, to help people back in line with freedom and not the religious rubbish evil has mastered itself over the centuries. Now, I like that. Because some people will just be like, religion and Jesus, but they won't mention the evilness that come with that. So he let us know that there's a difference between the two. Okay, Tim, I agree. Somebody else said, what we close our minds to understand, we condemn. We did it with the witch hunt then. We have done the same with other groups throughout our history. We continue doing it today while holding a Bible, noose, a bloodied knife, a smoking gun, and an insightful repugnant word, a small-mindedness, hate, racism, intolerance, and divisiveness. I am embarrassed by our current government on the verge of a critical wound with the Supreme Court nomination. My disheartened barometer is off the charts. I am afraid of how much of our progress can be undone by a minority, unscrupulous, unethical, closed-minded, ignorant. I'm pretty sure he wanted to put asshole right there. Somebody said, I love this post. Thank you for sharing. This does not take away from the power of women. However, I do think it's important to remember that 5 of the 20 executed were men. And those statistics speak loudly. So I like different perspectives, because it's not just about the women being hanged. That means that 5 men were trying to protect those women too. And then so they risked their own lives. So you can't just say, oh, those men in the witch hunt, 5 of them died. So somebody else said, what I see is religion gaining overwhelming political party. I know the days can come again. That is so true. One of the pastors was saying God gave us the COVID shot. How the hell? Now, see, that made me mad, because there are aborted fetuses in there. Number one, God don't even want you to be procreating outside of marriage, but then you go ahead and do it and want to get an abortion, which is fine, it's your choice. But then you go turn around and put it in a vaccine and go put it in people. And then go slap God's name on it. I don't like stuff like that. Like, people can take anything and twist it. It was also women who loved the earth and knew how to heal the body with herbs, plants, and energy. Not surprised. Crimes against women are still not taken as serious as they should. Disgraceful. So as I was looking into Native American, there was justice for natives that were gone missing. Like, what the fuck? And I want to end with this. Let me make sure I don't have anything else. That's my shopping cart. Oh, I got two more things. So Wonder Woman. I love the Wonder Woman movie. When I saw it, and it's like another part of me that can't speak or whatever. It's just an emotional part. Just think of a part of me that's emotion. So when something good happens, it's like tick, 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 and I can feel it. When something bad happens, it's like, it's just a part of me that's just extreme feelings. When I saw Wonder Woman, I was just so, like, something in me was like, this is home. A village full of nothing but women. They were strong. They were warriors. You know what I mean? Like, they were full of love. I definitely see how she fell in love with the girl's father to begin with. And I see how they bred her. She was dualistic. So to me, there's truth, never lie, lie, never truth. That story came from somewhere. They didn't just pull it out of their ass. To me, that reminds me of the whole Adam and Eve. Wonder Woman's mom was Eve. You know, she could reproduce and everything on her own, but she fell in love with Adam and end up having Wonder Woman. And this is the hell that we're living in now. Or, you know, not hell, but the duality, I'll say, that we're living in now. So we fell from heaven, essentially. So that's just kind of how I see it. But I loved everything about Wonder Woman. My most favorite part was that her mother was this God, this good, everything good. And her dad was just that pure evil. And she was both. And she had to choose which energy she was going to act on. And she actually overpowered her dad. Now, wouldn't parents be stronger than the child? But the child ended up being stronger than the dad. And I just kind of feel like that's what we are today as humans. We started out as gods, but now we're like a god and a man. We still have our God part, and we still have our man part. But are you going to act more on your godly or your man? That's what I was telling my best friend. I was like, we are divine feminine. We are the divine feminine. And I just have not been living, sleeping, breathing, acting in my divine feminine. And I'm just so happy that I stumbled across this, because woman is so much more. Like there's a rite of passage that women go through in different cultures, and I think that's missing in our culture. But I'm just happy that I was able to find it anyways. And just like the book that I was mentioned, with the full, I'm going to put that in the notes too, because it's not. She actually kind of takes you through a rite of passage too. So as I, a month deep, or almost just a month, shy a month, because it ain't 13th yet, of my 34th birthday, I am journeying into my divine feminine. It's been a long time coming, but the most important part is I'm here. That's what matters. Hold on, let me turn the light. Okay, because if we aren't in our proper place, then the whole world will burn. So it's really women. There is a battle going on, and the trumpets have sound for us to stand up. Really, that's what it is. And all women alike. We don't have on our crowns, basically. And the world is burning. So this is called The 2 Drops of Oil by author Paulo Coelho. A merchant sent his son to learn the secret of happiness from the wisest of men. The young man wandered through the desert for 40 days until he reached a beautiful castle at the top of a mountain. There lived a sage, and the young man was looking for. However, instead of finding a holy man, our hero entered a room and saw a great deal of activity. Merchants coming and going, people chatting in the corners, a small orchestra playing sweet melodies, and there was a table laden with the most delectable dishes of that part of the world. The wise man talked to everybody, and the young man had to wait 2 hours until it was his turn. The sage listened attentively to the reason for the boy's visit, but told him at the moment he did not have time to explain to him the secret of happiness. He suggested that the young man take a stroll around the palace and come back in 2 hours' time. However, I want to ask you a favor, he added, handing the boy a teaspoon, in which he poured 2 drops of oil. While you walk, carry the spoon and don't let the oil spill. The young man began to climb up and down the palace staircase, always keeping his eyes fixed on the spoon. At the end of the 2 hours, he returned to the presence of the wise man. So, asked the sage, did you see the Persian tapestries hanging in my dining room? Did you see the garden that the master of the gardens took 10 years to create? Did you notice the beautiful parchments in my library? Embarrassed, the young man confessed that he had seen nothing. His only concern was not to spill the drops of oil that the wise man had entrusted to him. So go back and see the wonders of my world, said the wise man. You can't trust a man if you don't know his house. Let me say that again. You can't trust a man if you don't know his house. Now, more at ease, the young man took the spoon and strolled again through the palace, this time paying attention to all the works of art that hung from the ceiling and the walls. He saw the gardens, the mountains all around the palace, and the delicacies of the flowers, the taste with which each work of art was placed in its niche. Returning to the sage, he reported in detail all that he had seen. But where are the 2 drops of oil that I entrusted you to? Asked the sage. Looking down at the spoon, the young man realized that he had spilled the oil. Well, that is the only advice I have to give you, said the sage of sages. The secret of happiness lies in looking at the wonders of the world and never forgetting the 2 drops of oil in the spoon. From the book, The Alchemist. Now, y'all know I got a whole podcast on that. That thing got probably about 1,000 views by now. And I need to go back and read it. As I'm going on the divine feminine journey, this story is the same. But instead of the boy and the oil in the palace, I would say divine feminine. You're on earth. Enjoy all the attributes of being feminine. But don't forget you're divine. So you have to be a divine feminine. You can't just be a feminine. And then vice versa. You can't just be divine. You have to be feminine as well. So I'm definitely gonna get like a necklace that says Divine Feminine. And my next book will probably be Divine Feminine. Talk about the goddesses and stuff. Because when I finish with the full book, I'm probably going to have stuff to write about. And I call them books, but they're really just like podcasts, I guess. Little guides with references and stuff, just like my podcast. But at least you'll see the pictures and stuff that I put with it, because I'm pictorial. And I'm going to start doing angel cards. I'm going to do angel cards like what I did. I just did the fertility goddesses. 160 fertility goddesses. Then I'm doing my fertility angel cards. And I'll probably do a divine feminine. I could do a divine feminine set. So yeah. Sometimes you get them cards, you shuffle them. You say your little prayer, you do your little sage, you put your little crystal, and I promise you it will give you an answer. And that is called divination. You can do it with dice. Thanks a million for listening. There's a million podcasts in the world. You clicked on this one, this one, to hear what I have to say. I hope universe has a special message for you. You can reach me on Linktree at /love.meesh. I hope you have a better than great day. Love ya. Talk to you later. Bye.
You all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet, I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?